This photo contains 4 outstanding sports careers. Bo Jackson played pro baseball and pro football, and he played them both well. The same goes for Deion Sanders, who followed closely behind Jackson into Major League Baseball and the NFL. Attempting the same dual career at roughly the same time, Bo and Deion managed many of the same pressures and logistical challenges. Each had his own approach, and each had plenty to say about the other. Amid all that hype and comparison, these simultaneous, year-round athletic spectacles only shared a ball field on a few occasions. One of those occasions was special. Let's see what happened, how 2 different athletic forces opposed and influenced one another. Let's examine the brief, fascinating overlap between Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders. Bo and Deion actually met once in college. New York Yankees owner George Steinbrenner tried to sign Jackson out of high school in 1982, but the Alabama native chose to attend Auburn University, where he did track and field and baseball and played running back for the Tigers football team. Supposedly without lifting weights, Jackson bulked to well over 200 pounds with startling speed and mythic-sounding feats of strength. Bo was already a living legend in 1985 when Florida high schooler Deion Sanders passed on an offer from the Kansas City Royals to attend FSU, where he'd play the same 3 sports as Jackson. As a freshman defensive back, Deion got a little taste of the Bo Jackson experience. In a game at Auburn, the soon-to-be Heisman winner bulldozed the visiting Florida State defense. Jackson scored 1 long touchdown by stiff-arming Sanders, just face-smushed him into oblivion. After peeling himself off the turf, Sanders spent the late 80s building his own collegiate legend as a multi-sport terror. Leaner than Bo, but dynamic and clever and incredibly fast in a way that worked for all the same sports. While Sanders matriculated, Jackson embarked on an unusual forked pro career. Initially, it was just MLB. The NFL's Tampa Bay Buccaneers had misled Jackson into breaking some dumb NCAA rule, which screwed up his eligibility and cost him most of his senior baseball season. So even though Tampa drafted Bo first in 1986, he stiff-armed the NFL and signed with the Kansas City Royals. Baseball, after all, was his first love. Nevertheless, during Jackson's second season as a Royal, LA Raiders boss Al Davis took a flyer on Bo in the 7th round of the '87 NFL Draft, then made him an enticing proposal. Keep playing baseball, but whenever that season ends, come play with the Raiders for the rest of football season. And so he did. For 4 straight years, Jackson played a full season with the Royals, then relocated to join Marcus Allen in a mighty Raiders backfield. It worked for a few reasons. The Raiders promised from the outset to be patient and accommodating, and crucially, the Royals never tested that patience by qualifying for the postseason. Jackson was usually free to pick up his hobby by mid-October, around week 7. It also worked because Bo was good as shit at both sports. He struck out a lot, but also slugged and ran and generated absurd outfield highlights, becoming an American League All-Star in 1989. And even in half seasons as a Raider, Bo racked up impressive rushing stats, enough to be named a 1990 Pro Bowler. Around this time, Nike made Bo a signature athlete, airing ads like this that hyperbolized his all-sport excellence. It was also around this time that Deion Sanders entered the chat. Sanders conveyed preferences opposite Bo Jackson's. Football was his wife, baseball his girlfriend, but Deion was careful not to commit. Before his senior football season, he played some minor league ball in the Yankees system. Sanders referred to that as leverage. And that's exactly how he operated after college. After the Atlanta Falcons picked him early in the 1989 NFL Draft, Sanders kept right on playing baseball. The Yankees actually called Sanders up to the majors for some games during the 1989 season. People said he'd have to let one sport take priority, like Jackson. As Falcons contract negotiations dragged late into the summer, Deion and his agent publicly hinted that the priority might be baseball. After getting called up again in September, Sanders spoke about divorcing his football wife. He drew dollar signs on his baseball socks. Leverage. Steinbrenner stirred the pot by saying Deion could eventually be an everyday starter and that he projected to have a longer career than Bo Jackson. Bo did not like Deion's style. The man known as Primetime and Neon Deion was brasher, flashier, chattier than the understated Jackson. Deion's crackers did not sit well in Bo's bowl of soup. So, Bo told him to shut up. He said Sanders would get knocked off his high horse if he ever made it to the NFL. He said Sanders had diarrhea of the mouth. Diarrhea of the mouth! Fittingly, Sanders expressed every possible opinion on Bo. He said he was tired of hearing Jackson's name. Then he called Bo his hero. Sanders was featured in a 1989 Sports Illustrated with a cover that Bo definitely wouldn't want in his bowl of soup. In there, he called Jackson a sorry dude, jealous someone else caught the limelight. Jackson made patronizing comments about Sanders' call-up. Sanders didn't like being called a kid. His agent said that so-called kid was more like Bo with a personality. Deion also thought Jackson's quieter persona, even in those Nike commercials, sold him short. Anybody can say the three words, "just do it." Deion wanted to talk, wanted to show people he was an intelligent person. On the Arsenio Hall show, Bo reiterated that Deion could follow the forked path, but he should let his game do the talking.
I wish him the best of luck, but the way to do it is not with his mouth, because he has to go out and show what he can do instead of sit up and talk about it.
He talks a lot.
You could say that.
Speaking of which, the Falcons eventually delivered the offer Deion wanted, so he literally walked out in the middle of a Yankees game to go be a football player. In the same week he'd hit a homer, Sanders scored a touchdown in his NFL debut. Deion played the full season as a budding shutdown corner and slippery return man for the '89 Falcons. But he hadn't closed the door on baseball. And indeed, Sanders made the opening day roster for the 1990 Yankees. Sanders, though, wasn't an everyday player in the crowded New York outfield. He spent most of May in the minors and was still there when Bo and the Royals visited Yankee Stadium. But the Dave Winfield trade cleared space for Sanders, who got a much longer call-up in late May and June. That freaked out the Falcons, who worried Deion might get hot in the majors, then pull a Bo Jackson and make them wait for the end of Yankee season. In the meantime, the Yankees visited KC. Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders played baseball against each other for the first time, without much on-field excitement. Media-wise, though, it was comparing season. Their performance had been compared before, often to diminish Deion's baseball skill, but now it really took off. Deion's agent once again floated the idea that his client would favor the so-called girlfriend over his wife and sacrifice football to play a full baseball season. The Bo situation Atlanta feared. Deion insisted the Falcons had reason to worry. And meanwhile, despite those prior hints of beef, Deion and Bo did a joint interview for Kansas City radio. Each was asked, gun to head, which sport would you pick? Jackson said baseball. Sanders did his own thing. Weeks later, after another frustrating stint in the minors, Deion returned to New York. Reporters wanted to know if he'd consider playing both sports simultaneously. Sanders said a running back like Bo could do it, but as a defensive back, he was asked to be the best athlete and cover wide receivers. A little positional condescension there. By mid-July, when the Royals and Yankees met again, Sanders and his camp sounded like they might leave baseball behind. Deion didn't want to admit failure, but his football agent said his client was prime time on a football field and just regular Deion on the diamond, a line Sanders has himself repeated. He bemoaned his relative lack of control over baseball games, but also said he didn't want to choose. For now, Bo and Deion remained baseball opponents. And on July 17, 1990, in the second game of a series at Yankee Stadium, America got a show. In the first inning, Bo took a pitch from Andy Hawkins and smacked it to deep center. there's Deion attempting a robbery in vain. Third inning, Bo's second at bat. See ya. Don't even bother climbing the wall this time, Deion. Jackson told teammates he didn't want to hit a third home run. His next one would be the 100th of his career, and he hoped to reach that milestone at home in KC. It was an emotional time for Bo and his family. But sometimes you're hot. Fifth inning, same pitcher, same result. 3 at-bats, 3 homers, 7 RBI for Bo Jackson. Yankee Stadium held its collective breath to see what the visiting muscle man would do with a 4th and maybe even 5th plate appearance. But then Deion struck. With a man on third, Deion slapped a liner Bo's way. Jackson leapt for the highlight catch but fell short. While Bo ate grass and the ball slipped free, Deion blazed around second, took a wide turn around third, then beat a messy play at home plate for a rare inside-the-park home run. Sanders had his own little slice of history. Jackson, as you can maybe tell from his expression, partially dislocated his left shoulder. He had to interrupt a career-best performance for a hospital visit. Afterward, Jackson didn't have too much to say about Sanders, but Deion sounded awed by Bo. I didn't want him to hit more homers, but I did want to see him have another chance. Sanders almost sounded like a fan. Whatever was said before, Deion said he never disliked Bo. Bo's one of the best athletes ever. They just had a regular old rivalry. That rivalry would never grace a playing field ever again. Bo's shoulder kept him out of the final game in that series, the last of the season between the Yankees and Royals. NFL season went as it had before. Sanders staged a dramatic public negotiation with the Yankees. He reached the verge of signing a substantial contract that would keep him in MLB well into football season. One that made his Yankee teammates want to vomit, or remark that you're supposed to be good at baseball to get that kind of money. Then negotiations broke. Sanders bailed, accepted a fine for arriving late to Falcons camp, and played another full NFL season. Deion said only Bo understood what he was going through. Bo once again suggested Deion shush. As usual, Jackson played out a losing season with the 1990 Royals, then joined the Raiders in Week 7. He put up Pro Bowl-worthy rushing numbers and helped LA qualify for the first postseason of his professional career in any sport. And then, disaster. On January 13th, 1991, in his first ever professional playoff game, Bo Jackson went down on what looked like an ordinary play and came up hobbling a bit. It turned out to be a devastating hip injury, one that would eventually require replacement surgery. Bo Jackson's NFL career ended on this play. His MLB career continued over a few brief, delicate stints, but none that intersected with that of Deion Sanders. Because starting in 1991, Deion became a National Leaguer. Sanders simplified his two-sport lifestyle by joining the Atlanta Braves, who actually shared a stadium with the Falcons for the first season of Deion's tenure. From that point forward, the athlete regarded as Bo Jackson's inferior in two sports would push boundaries and reach heights Bo never got to, like playing two sports at once. Unlike those Yankees and Royals, the early 90s Braves were good. Deion, though, did his usual thing and left them for Falcons camp at the end of July 1991. But come autumn, the Braves were trying to make the postseason without suspended outfielder Otis Nixon. They wanted Deion back, and they got him. Sanders used his off days to play 5 more regular season Braves games in the middle of Falcons season. Then he watched them march to the World Series while he carried on playing just football. Deion went even further in 1992. He played really well for the Braves, so well that he opted to hold off joining the Falcons, even missing their season opener. People were throwing around words like Bo Jackson with another gear. Deion left the Braves to be a Falcon in NFL weeks 2 through 6, then hustled back to baseball for the postseason. And then Deion attempted the ultimate maneuver, the most extreme version of Bo Jackson's original experiment. Sunday, October 11th, 1992. Sanders joined the Falcons in Miami and actually played on both sides of the ball. Then he hopped on a helicopter and zoomed up to Pittsburgh in time for Game 5 of the Braves-Pirates NLCS. The only thing that prevented Sanders from playing pro football and pro baseball on the same day was the Braves being too annoyed with all the excitement to put him on the field. When those Braves advanced to the World Series, Sanders skipped several weeks of football to join them. And he fucking raked. Teammates agree that had the Braves won it all, Deion Sanders would have been World Series MVP. Deion eventually settled into a more balanced Bo-style existence. With much less whiplash, Deion played out a solid baseball career and excellent NFL career. Numerous Pro Bowls, 2 Super Bowl rings, and a bust in the Football Hall of Fame. And these two have become regular correspondents, with mutual admiration and lovely anecdotes like an hours-long chat in the Cincinnati Reds clubhouse, or a lighthearted phone call after a long-retired Jackson needed surgery on the shoulder he wrecked trying to rob Sanders. In retrospect, Deion Sanders kinda got to be Bo Jackson 2.0. Bo was the serious yet show-stopping trailblazer. He struck a balance that heralded greater success ahead. Then, fate derailed his upward arc, leaving only the brasher Deion to carry the two-sport project to its upper and outer limits. But that wild night in July 1990 gave us a glimpse of what could have been. 2 otherworldly athletes colliding on multiple fields over multiple seasons. We should have had many years of these crackling contrasts, stunning one-upsmanship, and increasing mutual admiration. As it happened, the overlap was too brief, but plenty amazing.